Hello friends, this is TKD. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so. So in this course, in this particular video, we are going to focus about the various types of Apex unit testing, which we do for the code-based testing. So keep following this video and let me know about your thoughts. I would like to start talking about unit testing.
Different classes, different pieces of trigger code, but they're just a series.
So what we want to do is take one of the individual steps. For example, step 3 here, and we want some assertions on that particular step. We want to make sure that we pass on different data values to this function or to this step. Then we get actually different outputs at it as expected. So we have to validate that those outputs are actually validating our uh, unit test class. So that's what a unit test is. A unit test typically focuses on a single unit of code, typically a function. So basically it will focus on a single unit of code as we discussed, and also it will these unit tests will test the individual steps in a process, and it allows us to see at a granular level which steps of a process does actually work. And it also enables us to change the inner workings of a step but verify the result. Now let us talk about the integration testing. So people usually gets confused with unit testing with integration testing. So basically in integration testing we are going to take the multiple steps in our process and basically run them together. So basically we test the at the input at the step 1 of the process, and then we get the output at the last step of the process. So this is the way we do the integration testing. So basically these we test all these steps together in a sequence, and we make sure that we don't leave any assumptions in between in the transit of this multiple steps in sequence. So basically in an integration test, we combine multiple units of code together to verify their interoperation, and we also test multiple steps within a process, and it allows us to see that all of a process works as expected. And of course it enables us to change so that whenever the developer makes many change to the process or the steps of the process, it enables us to change the individual modules or units in a process, but we can verify the entire process still works as expected. So in this video channel we will be focusing mostly on the unit testing, because Apex testing is very like transactional niche, is a very transactional type of language. There are very few extremely large processes running. So basically there are very few extremely large processes which are running with lots of states occurring. So typically our Apex testing will be basically testing would be a like a testing a trigger running, or it might be testing something cool from a Visual Force page or from a Lightning component, and also it might be checking some sort of cool app process which is running in the background. So we have to make sure we want to check these small pieces of code run correctly. So as such, unit testing is far better to work. So there are situations wherein we might want to go to have we might want to have an integration test which and everything we learned about. So basically everything we learned learned about unit testing, and we can actually start going and extend outwards from there. The second prominent reason is the unit testing is going to last to be like far more specific when it comes to debugging our code and finding errors. If suppose we have small granular unit tests that operate correctly when we can run our test, then we can validate that there is a failure and we can check and debug that code and we can fix it like very quickly. And of course, we can fix it very rapidly. Of course, there are a few things we are going to have our unit test be there for to enable us to do this properly. So what do we want from unit test which is going to help us? The first thing we want is unit test to be repeatable. That means if we run 10 tests 10 times, it will run in the same way 10 times. It is not only based upon some states or data that it's going to change. So we want our tests to be fast, extremely fast. We don't want them running to be for about 40 minutes, 30 minutes in a production environment. I have worked in organizations where we had thousands and tens of thousands of unit tests within within a single organization. We don't have to run all of these unit tests every time. They take a long time with them to run. If you imagine you have 1,000 unit tests, each of which takes a couple of seconds, run quickly adds up. We want our test therefore to be fast so that we can run them quickly and easily. And of course, it is not going to be a blocker within our development. We also want it to be a self-contained. So when I say a test is a self-contained, that means that a single test tests a single piece of code. It doesn't require any other test to run or any other test to isolate properly. So it's also going to have only a single item on the test. Therefore, it's gonna be self-contained and tests just a single piece of code for us. So we also want our test to be very descriptive of what is being tested rather than just a generic test day. We want to tell us what exactly is being tested. And finally, we want our test to be understandable and independent of all other tests actually. This means if our test fails, we can go in and look at the individual test and understand exactly what's wrong with our code, and so we can fix it in the so in the next video we are going to start looking at the way in which the tests run and how these tests operate. I look forward to seeing you there, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so. Stay safe. Do drop me a like, comment, and subscribe to this video. And keep safe and happy December and stay safe.